Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, Straw Hats YGO, the premier place for all your Yu-Gi-Oh! And anime content. I am your host, Mr. Straw Hat himself. I have a super awesome special deck profile that I want to show you guys today. I'm super excited about it. This is my top 8 deck list from the Lock Haven Regional. I ended up going 6-2 to finish at 7th place in Lock Haven, Pennsylvania at a regional about a week or two ago. And I won this awesome brand new Exo Sister playmat. I believe that was the first weekend that these were the regional playmats that were being given out. So I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about the deck before I get into the profile and my matchups. I ended up going 6-2. I played against 4 Despia, 2 Sword Soul, 1 ABC Therion, and 1 Phantom Knight. My 2 losses were against Despia and Phantom Knight. The Phantom Knight game was probably the worst of the day. I went first both games, bricked both games, set 2 traps and passed, and he just had the access code line and killed me 2 times. Against Despia, I basically punted game 3. I overcalculated the amount of damage I was taking off the Masquerade Dragons. I was able to out one of them, but in my mind when I was doing the math for the traps to be able to break the board, I just didn't have enough life points. When I was doing the calculation, I was calculating for 2 of them, even though I had already outed the one of them. But nevertheless, it was still a very good game. I played against a very good player, and it was just an overall enjoyable experience for the day. I really, really, really love this deck, this format. I struggled prior deciding whether I wanted to play the branded Fusion engine or the Dragoon engine, and Dragoon overperformed. This card is insane. I absolutely love the card. Just putting an Omni Negate on the board is so free because it stops the Ashes on your Eldlich engine when you want to go into Sanguine. It stops anything, really anything you need. Your back row removal, the Lightning Storm, the Harpy's Feather Duster. Dragoon being able to just stop those blowout cards without having to have drawn Solemn Judgment is absolutely insane. I really do like Eldlich's format. I think Floodgates are insane. Unfortunately, Gozen Match, which is in the main deck, is really not that great against Despia, and I had to play 4 Despia, and I feel like every single time I went first against Despia, I drew Gozen Match game 1. But, you know, it happens. We still ended up doing very well, taking it 6-2. We beat 3 of the Despias, and I want to show you guys my deck profile. So, starting off with the main deck, I have, obviously, double Golden Lord. I don't think 3 is necessary. The only reason I'd ever bump this card up to 3 is simply because Despia being able to banish it from your field with the Mirror Jade is really, really good. You do run low on these guys sometimes. It really all depends on what you're doing. Also, I believe the new branded trap also is a super poly from either player's field. You could obviously respond to it unless they have branded lost on the field, but that also banishes as well. So probably not considering bumping this up to 3, but if the format progresses where it's like solely Despia, that might be an option. But 2 Golden Lords, it's your bread and butter of the engine. 1 Dogmatic Ecclesia, this is the only Dogmatica you need. At the YCS, I just went to YCS Hartford, did not do nearly as well I did for this tournament. I did play Fleur de Lis for the YCS, but Fleur de Lis underperformed. It really isn't needed. Ecclesia is definitely the only Dogmatic you need. And obviously, the 2 bricks for the Dragoon engine. These cards, I drew them all the time, not too happy about it, but can't really do anything about that. That's it for the monsters. For spells, we have triple Cursed Eldland. This is like one of your better side outs. You don't need Cursed Eldland as much going second. You could side 1 to 2 of these out, even all 3 if you absolutely need to. I almost always side 1 of these out. There's a lot of 3-ofs in this deck that you're able to just side out, like a 3rd copy of this, 3rd copy of that, and being able to play your engine. Triple Red Eyes Fusion, obviously, Dragoon's the best card in this deck. If you see this, I mean, you play 3 copies of this, you play things to dump Predaplant Chimera Flacia to search this, and you play Prosperity to dig 6 deeper into your deck to search this. You see this enough. I don't think playing the Insights is necessary with the Wyverns. I think you see Red Eyes Fusion just enough. Triple Prosperity, and then double Nadir's Servant. This card is absolutely insane every single time I've drawn it. Going first, I can dump the Chimera Flacia if I don't already have Red Eyes Fusion. It really doesn't matter. Going second, I can dump Intis to pop cards. This card is absolutely insane, and it just recurs so much advantage. Onto the traps, we have obviously the triple Eldlich or Scarlet Sanguine, triple Conquistador of the Golden Land, and double Hakuero. I do not think this is a 3-of. This card sucks. I almost never use it. It is simply discard fodder and a way to just get this from your deck. This card really does blow this format. It's just really not good. Conquistador is good. It kind of sucks against Despia because there isn't many good pops in Despia, especially if they have Branded Opening in Graveyard. But the Eldlich engine just recurs so much advantage that I think it's the best trap engine to play in any deck this format. And the best cards of the deck, Skill Drain, Gozen, and Rivalry. Floodgates are insane. Floodgates are always going to be good. I don't think there's ever going to be a time in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Floodgates aren't absolutely bonkers. Like I said earlier, Gozen match is not good against Despia, and I feel like I always draw it going game 1 against Despia, but these two Floodgates do, more than enough work against that deck to be able to stop them. Plus, they also, if you're able to use your Dragoon negate correctly and your back row negates correctly, they're almost never able to super poly your Dragoon. It's really hard for them to out it without a Mirror Jade or using one of the super poly effects. The Floodgates are basically, in the words of Gabriel Netz, your starters. These are absolutely insane, and we play more in the side deck that I will show you. For the last of the traps, it's triple Solemn Strike, double Torrential Tribute, and double Dogmatica Punishment. Obviously, this card is searched off of the Ecclesia. Torrential Tribute's insane. If they do not have Branded Opening in Graveyard, they do not put up negates. You just ruin their entire board. I will say, I did get absolutely big-brained at the YCS. This was my last card set. My opponent had a Lubra on the field, a Mirror Jade, and then they summoned Albion to go into another card. I had previously that turn banished their Branded Opening with Haquero, and I knew when they were going to summon off the Albion, I would Torrential Tribute clear the board. He had 2 cards in hand. I activated Torrential Tribute on the summon of the last fusion. He then chains Twin Twisters, targets my Torrential, pitches Branded Opening for cost, and then was able to Branded Opening protect. So I got big brained. That was an insane play, but Torrential Tribute normally is really, really good, and against decks that do put up negates like ABC Therion, Torrential Tribute plus a Solemn Strike is basically an FTK. You're always resolving it if you draw this card. Any of the base decks as well, Solemn Strike's really, really good against. Being able to just negate the summon of a Needle Fiber, negate the summon of anything big that they have. Solemn Strike does really, really well this format. I definitely think that this is the better card over Judgment. So moving on to the extra. Obviously, 1 copy of Dragoon, the absolute house. I love this card. I love this card. I love this card. Several times during the tournament, people had to pick this up and read it because it's been so long since a Dragoon was played against them. Not only the fact that it's basically, I don't want to call it a towers because you can out it, but it can't be destroyed by battle, or not by battle. It can be destroyed by battle. It cannot be destroyed by card effects, and it cannot be targeted by card effects. It also, the effect to burn is absolutely insane, especially in this deck. So obviously, as we all know, trap decks have a very hard time pushing for game, but sometimes against a big enough board, if you're able to stick a Dragoon there, popping 2 monsters and then attacking a Dragoon is game in certain situations. This card helps you push for game so much, it becomes a threat. If they can't out it, you're almost always winning on the crackback. Then the 2 Sens, so Chimera Flacia, it simply just searches Red Eyes Fusion during the next standby phase after this card was sent to the graveyard. You send it off the Deer Servant, you send it off Dogmatica Punishment, and this you also send off Dogmatica Punishment. If you just hard draw Punishment, the reason we play 2, you can send this card and then search Ecclesia during the end phase, or special it and then search another Punishment. Triple Intis, this is almost always one of these, is almost always a Prosperity banish. There's a lot of Prosperity banishes in this deck. It really doesn't matter. It all depends on your game. I actually don't think I went into anything from the extra deck other than Dragoon. I believe I've summoned Pleiades 1 time, and that was it for the extra deck. But everything else, I mean, it does come up in certain situations in testing. That's the reason we do play a 15-card extra deck, but you don't need everything. A lot of times you understand, like, okay, these are the necessary cards I need to keep, other than banishing off Prosperity. For the links, we have 1 Link Spider, 1 Line of the Light Charmer, 1 Vampire Sucker, and 1 Nightmare Unicorn. These are the only links you really need to play. Lina comes up sometimes, Unicorn comes up sometimes. Lina bringing back a monster and then summoning Unicorn is always really good. Discarding a Eldlich card to just have the graveyard effect. Vampire Sucker and Link Spider I have yet to summon. Been playing this deck, but they're cards that come up in testing. Now for the XZs, we have 1 Constellar Pleiades, we have 1 number 35 Ravenous Tarantula, 181 Super Rail Cannon Super Dora, we have Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max, and then Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Juggernaut Lieb. Oh, I'm sorry, I actually did summon this one time. I burned for game My opponent was under 2,000, and I had 2 Golden Lords on the field. Summon the Sprint for game. That play is always nasty. I haven't summoned this, Ravenous Trench is a really cool card. I really like this tech. So it reads, all monsters your opponents control, all monster you control gain attack events equal the difference between yours and your opponent's life points. Well, this card has Xyz material. Each time your opponent summons a monster, you inflict 600 damage to them. And once per turn, you can detach material, destroy all face-up monsters with less attack than this card. So since this card gains the difference between yours and your opponent's life points, if you Dragoon put them very low and then you summon this, I mean, if you're Dragoon putting them super low, you're probably winning anyways, but summoning this after getting beat with some big monsters or burning your opponent with Dragoon, this basically becomes a Raigeki. It also becomes an absolute house because of how big it can get. Now for the side deck, triple Lava Golem. This card is cracked. This takes care of most boards. Most decks that play negates play 1 to 2 negates. 2 to 3. It really all depends. I know like base decks are playing like 2 to 3 negates. Obviously, we don't care about getting Scythe locked because we only play one Red Eyes Fusion. One target for the Red Eyes Fusion that we would summon. There's only 3 cards on a deck that summon from the extra deck. Scythe doesn't do anything against us. Most people side Scythe out against this deck, but Lava Golem really does clean up. It's really good against Despia, taking care of their fusions on board. Also, it is a fire, so they cannot fuse with it into most of their stuff. Triple Tikaboo. This goes in against Fluanderies. This goes again, really obviously any deck that plays multiples of the same type. This is really, really good against Sword Soul. Their Moyes, their Atayas, you chain to that, and then it just ruins their day. It ruins their turn. 4 more Floodgates. Anti-Spell Fragrance and Soul Drain. These cards, absolutely bonkers. I might bump Anti-Spell up to 3. I just don't know what I would cut for it. Anti-Spell is super, super good this format. Super, super good against Despia going first. And Soul Drain is obviously almost just for Despia. It comes up against certain other matches. But Soul Drain is really, really good against Despia. Also, Soul Drain, people forget it reads that monsters' effects cannot activate if they're in the grave or banished. So I could still resolve my spell and trap effects of my Eldlich engine to keep setting and recycling that advantage. This card is absolutely bonkers. It really all depends what you're playing against, what you're siding in. Harpy's Feather Duster. Obviously, just clear up the back row. It's good against a ton of things. I always side this in against Sword Soul. I think this is really good against Sword Soul, just being able to take care of the 1 to 2 cards they set, and then having to be able to play through it. Sword Soul also does have a hard time outing Dragoon. I believe Cheng Yang, if it gets big enough, can out it. And the big Long Yang in the extra deck, I don't even remember his name, the Sinister Sovereign, whatever the hell he is. He can also out Dragoon just by banishing it, but if you're able to set up the negate, if you haven't already used it, it's really good against Sword Soul just to blow out the 2 cards. In a regional flight during the YCS, this came up against Sword Soul. I drew it and ended up winning because of it. Now for the last cards, I actually did not play these 2 cards. I played 2 different cards. I played another hand trap, another backer removal. It's actually for my Lockhaven list. It was DD Crow and Twin Twisters. For YCS Hartford, I switched to Ash Blossom Heavy Storm Duster. I feel like Ash Blossom's just a better card. DD Crow really only hits the Branded and Red target in Graveyard. I think Ashing Branded Fusion just overall better, just stopping them from their first turn play. And Heavy Storm Duster, I feel like, is just better than Twin Twister. So that is my deck profile for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I had an absolute blast, and I really, really, really enjoyed playing this deck. If you guys want to see anything, leave a comment down below. Let me know what kind of content you guys want to see. Always, 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 please like and subscribe. Follow me for more Yu-Gi-Oh! And anime content, and I will see you guys next time.